Hey, what's up, everyone? Nick here from vonEgypt Pickleball League, and today we're going to dive in and do a quick recap of the PPA CIBC Texas Open 2025. And boy, were the results interesting. So, it was a windy weekend, and we know this really affects the players, and especially some of the teams that we know are used to winning, like Ben Johns and Annalie Waters. And that wasn't the case this time. So without further ado, let's jump into men's doubles. So starting with the bronze matchup, it's nice to see Pablo Tellez and Hayden Patrickin playing together, the Florida boys. And they defeated Andre Diascu and Dylan Frazier. So Diascu was on his way to try and win 4 gold medals, but he was unable to do so. What does that tell you about Dylan Frazier? And we had an exciting Game 5 matchup between Gabe Tardio, Ben Johns, and Christian Alshon and Fed Staksrud. Now, we know Tardio and Ben are a new partnership. They're trying to figure things out, but they were able to get their first title together, and I suspect this is going to be their first of many. I think Alshon and Staksrud have a really good chance at beating them, but I don't think Alshon and Staksrud are the correct pairing for each other. I really think Alshon's best pairing is Andre Diascu. So I'm hoping that they get some more matchups together, more tournaments together, and that they can take it to Ben and Gabe. But there are a lot of players here vying for that top spot. So should be pretty exciting for the next tournament. All right, jumping into men's singles here. So Christian Alshon repeats as back-to-back champion, and this time taking out Fed. Christian is playing unbelievably well right now in all 3 disciplines, and it's really nice to see him doing well in singles. You know, with that tennis background, I can definitely see him being on top for a while. He's a player that sort of goes up and down, has good performances, has bad performances. So if he can get that stable level of consistency that he needs, then he'll be winning some more titles for sure. Jaume coming in on the bronze, beating Hunter Johnson. Jaume really sticking himself in the conversation, to be top 5 singles players. Notable matchups here. Zane Ford took out Ben Johns super early. So, number one, Ben struggles in the wind with his cat and mouse game. And then he seems to struggle with those heavy hitters like Zane and also, um, players that hit the ball hard that don't really have a good cat and mouse game. And Zane's certainly, improving on that cat and mouse, but he's definitely known for that Western grip and driving that ball pretty hard. Some other players that, did well. You had Gabe Joseph. We haven't seen him in the top conversation in a while. Kwang Dong, I think, is underperforming a little bit right now. We haven't seen Connor Garnett in the conversation much. He's been in that top 3 for a bit. So will be interesting to see if they can bounce back. All right, jumping into mixed doubles. No surprise here. Ben and Annalie take care of JW and Georgia Johnson. The top seeds were looking good all weekend. They struggled a little bit with the wind, but won pretty convincingly here. JW and Georgia are really sticking themselves in that conversation as that 2 team. And then, Anna Bright, basically whoever she partners with in mix, she gives herself a good chance. Eric Onsens and Alex Trung making their first semifinal appearance together. Eric recently sponsored by Yola, so that's exciting for him. Young, up and coming, promising player. So I look forward to seeing more of him. He's super athletic, super long. I think if he can get in the gym, he's very comparable to Christian Alshon. So I think he's one for the future for sure. All right, jumping into women's doubles. Now this was pretty exciting, this matchup, because Annalie and Catherine Prento went down early, unexpectedly, to Callie Smith and Etta, right? So that was a big upset. I believe I read that that's the first semifinal that Annalie and Catherine have not made together, but the conditions were very tough, so I know we'll see them bounce back. So basically, the girlies had a really good shot at taking gold. However, they got beat out by Paris Todd and Tyra Black in the other semifinal. And I would definitely say Paris and Tyra were favored in that final. I think they won it in three straight. So really happy for them. They're a very strong team together. I like Paris's aggression and offense abilities paired with Tyra's, resetting and defensive capabilities. So I really like that pairing. I hope we see more of them. And I would say Callie and Etta getting a surprise silver. So shout out to them for getting a really solid result. And I think we should keep an eye on Tina Pisnik and Kate Fahey. They're a semi new partnership. They've gotten a few tournaments together, but I think they are also a very nice pairing, and we should be seeing more of them in quarterfinals and semifinal appearances. All right, wrapping things up with women's singles. So Annalie defeats Kate Fahey in two straights, although I think the second game was 15-13 to Annalie. So a really grindy match there. And then Leia Jansen, playing some really solid singles recently, picks up a bronze versus Salome Device. I want to see a rematch between Device and Annalie in the final soon, so I hope we get that. That's always a heated matchup. All right, that wraps up the recap. I wanted to give a quick shout out to our Discord who entered in the PPA Pick'em Challenge, and shout out to editor Kyle for coming in first with 34 points. He picked extremely well. I think I finished with 27, so I was right there, but just on the outside. I did beat Jared this week, so he owes me some push-ups, although I still owe him some as well. If you're interested in joining the Discord and joining our PPA Pick'em Challenge, click the link in the description below. All right, that's going to wrap things up. We've got a week break here until we have our next tournament in North Carolina. So looking forward to that, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.